Ready?
Yep, you're recording.
I'd like to call the Willington Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission meeting on August 24th, 2020. It is 7:35 p.m. and there are no other members for the roll call, and there's no alternates, so we will move on to public hearings, of which there are none. And so the new business, well, excuse me, I skipped item B, which is the one that we were going to do next, which is election of officers. Okay.
So the reason this is on here is because there were some reappointments because of term expirations. So
Right.
that's I know it doesn't usually show up in August, so that's why that's there.
We also need a co-chair. Yeah.
Motion to nominate myself as co-chair.
No, you let Mark do it.
I'd second that.
Okay. Is there any discussion about this? Then we will vote. All in favor of Patrick being co-chair of the Wetlands Commission, say aye.
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 All opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. Isn't that nice? Maybe you should run for president.
If it could
All
only,
right.
if it could only be that easy.
Yeah. So now we move on to the new business.
So, I mean, I guess I can give you guys a background on the application, and we can start going through some of this stuff. And, you know, I think the thing to do would be, if you get to a point where you don't feel like you have enough information and you're not comfortable, certainly we would not deny an application without the applicant in here. So
Right,
if we get to that point, we'll push it. I'm hoping that he'll call and say, hold on, I'm trying to figure it out, but let me just bring up the application here.
Okay, well, let me read the line there for the recorder.
Okay.
New business, item 1 is IW-20-8 wetland application for timber harvest at 0 Loshi Road, map 51, lot 16, OA, 33 acres, applicant Dan Donahue. Are we going to treat these both as one, or are we going to do them separately?
So I will outline the various components for each, but I think just for discussion purposes, if you want to just, we'll do them together because I'm going to be going back and forth. But let me just bring this up here. So Ashley and I met Dan on the property last Wednesday, and we walked the area and kind of went through. I'm going to bring up the operational plan. And what do you guys want to see first? Anything in particular? Do you want to start with a map just so you can kind of orient yourself?
Yes.
So, all right, so I'm going to share this. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it, it's big enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you're coming up the street here, you'll notice there's just a farm gate and where he's got log landing there. And there's a small clearing right in the front of the property there. And then it just sort of continues on. There is a really, really, really old road that is there, well established. We walked on it. It's extremely firm and has been there forever. So when you walk in and you come down, there's a low spot on the property, which is where he's shown that circle there for the wetland crossing.
Yeah.
It's an intermittent water course. So when we were there, it was not running. and the road or the path, whatever is goes right through there. He thinks he's got plenty of width, so he wanted to expand the access.
Mhm.
And there is, I don't remember what he referred to it as, but there's basically a really dense thicket on both sides of the wetland that provides really good buffering and sort of protection, and they don't anticipate going in that at all. So they're really not going to have any interaction with this area other than crossing using the existing road that's there. This is a plan. He has to do this because, my understanding is basically the health of the forest there. He doesn't know if this will happen in 6 months or in 3 years. It's really just based on the fact that a lot of the trees need to come down. It's not a cut because he's trying to extract money from the property.
So there's probably a lot of ash in there.
Yeah, and I think he said white oak.
Right.
So because of the wetland that runs through it, and then this existing section there, it more or less leaves 4 quadrants, which he's kind of outlined there, those 2 in the front on the left and right, and then 2 on behind.
Right.
He's going to be using a forwarder to bring the logs out, so the actual hauling will just the trucks will never leave that landing. They're not actually going to get into the guts of the property. Let me see what else I can pull up here.
What was their proposed wetland crossing? Were they just going to go through that stream channel, or were they going to put mats, or?
I'm going to see, I'm pretty sure he's got a photo in here.
Make a
I
full
saw one
fjord, or?
So it's got a fairly well established and like I said, existing. It's more or less gravel access. So I think that his assumption was that if they get in there and based on the season, it's really wet, that they may just grab some limbs and tops of trees and just get them right down in there and go over them with that. But he feels that corduroy would be more destructive than it would be helpful. So when we talked to him, I don't think that was part of his plan. Let me see if I can pull this up.
How wide is that crossing?
I would say the existing road is 10, maybe 12 feet wide.
Where they have to go through the intermittent stream?
Yeah, so this isn't a photo of the stream, but I'll share this for you so you can see the access. But you can see what the actual road kind of looks like.
Okay.
So the end of that photo, kind of in the background, is where you can see how it kind of dips down. That's the where the wetland crossing is.
Right. Where the ferns start getting more dramatic.
All right, let me see if I can pull some of this other stuff up here. I don't know if he has a photo of the actual crossing, but I can pull up the operational plan. All right, so here's the plan. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of clicking.
So based on your sidewalk, do you think it'd be appropriate for them just to drive their vehicles right through that stream bed, or?
So it's not, yeah, it's not really a stream bed. It's not a point in which where the road just goes right through it. You'd almost expect, because it's not like it gets really rocky in there and it's all scoured away or anything like that. It's almost just like 2 little pockets on either side. And I imagine if the high side gets full of water, it probably blows over the road. But you're not driving into the stream. There really is not going to be a lot of soil disturbance because the base of the road is not dirt. So I really, based on the way it's set up, I don't think that unless there's a ton of water running through there, I don't see how there will be really any impact to those areas because he can get us a forwarder through the existing roadway. So he doesn't need to widen it. And it's fairly well established on either side. And then the low side, the photo that I showed you would be on the right. It sort of collects in what is an old, what he calls an old farm pond. But it's not a stream bed like you might traditionally think of. So I think that his thought to use basically the tops of trees, if he does it in a time when there's some water there, is probably adequate. Though it's very likely that there won't be any water running when he does it. If he does it.
Right. So, but he's still not sure on the timing of this project. Is that correct?
He's not. Yeah. I mean, basically for him, it's something that he's got to kind of plan out and orchestrate because he's not doing this, like I said, to extract money. So it's not like he's got a buyer and he's setting this whole process up. They're going to come in and get it done. He's going to try to do this himself. But it may not happen. And I didn't get into why he thought it might not happen, but he just said that he wants to be prepared should he get in there and start looking and really figure out this got to happen sooner versus later, but it may not.
So is he a certified arborist?
Yeah.
He's got a lot of certifications.
Yes.
He actually said he used to be the town's forester, and he was on the panel of people that wrote the BMPs for the state. So and he did provide some of that information. So hold on, let me go back to some more clicking here.
I believe you.
I'll show you, this is something else that he attached just to give you an idea of his quals.
Well, that's pretty good.
So he definitely understands the property, and it's his property.
Okay.
So he said he's basically doing it purely for the health of the forest in that area.
Okay, I gotcha.
So
Yeah, if you went back to that first document, he said gypsy moth and ash borer.
And a whole plethora of others.
I don't know if I have it still up. There you go.
Yeah, gypsy moth, emerald ash borer. We've got
Chestnut. I haven't heard of some of them, I must admit.
Line chestnut borer, armorilla root fungus. Yeah. And he did mention that because of the fact that it is what he refers to as a high valley, and because you are sort of real higher up in the elevation, it's not the recipient of a lot of runoff from all these other areas because you're really fairly high up in that spot. So it's generated from groundwater, any water that's on the site, but it's not as if his property is the recipient of all this other, so he's seeing a lot of water come through after, heavy rain or whatever. You are sitting pretty high up where that is.
So when you were out there, like a lot of those like trails and stuff on the map, those are pre-existing from.
We probably walked to where that bend was. We didn't go all the way through, but this was well established. He says, and I'm not a historian, but he says that it was a really old historic roadway because you can see when you're walking before you get to the crossing that the road has been worn down, 12 to 18 inches in the dirt. So it obviously got a significant amount of travel a really long time ago.
Sure.
Which is why when you walk on it, you're walking on stone.
What's the topography?
It's fairly flat, and like it's a little, there's a little bit of a low spot, and I don't know if I still have. So if you see there, I mean, you can see way off at the end there, it does dive a little bit, but it's fairly flat. I mean, like I said, we didn't walk every inch of it, but you know, it's unlike some of the other properties we've looked at where there's all these wetland veins and streams that are running through everything. It's real rocky, and they're, you know, having to figure out ways to get over all kinds of stuff. Or the one that we just looked at on 32, which is, you know, basically on a slope. I mean, this is, you lose a little bit of elevation down by that intermittent water course, but then it pops back up on the other side. It's, I mean, it's more or less flat. I know in that photo it's hard to tell, but you're looking at, you know, well over, you know, 100 yards of just no change.
Right.
Did he plan on harvesting any trees in the wetland area itself?
So in this area,
Or up in the northern part here?
I think that, where's his plan? Oh, where did he put it here? One
says
crossing of
no-
a narrow intermittent wetland is required. I got, and I be honest, I did not ask this question directly, but I didn't get the impression that he was, I got the impression this was his only planned.
Right. Well, if you go up 2 lines there, you see it says harvest impacts on wetlands, structure or function, none.
Yeah,
So that would indicate that he's not going into the wetlands to pull trees out. At least that's my guess.
yeah.
Well, he can do that as a right though. So as long as he's using the BMPs that are in place.
Yeah, and like I said, he wrote them, so I imagine he's going to use them.
And it's his property.
Yeah, and it's his property, so I think he definitely has a lot of reason to do this the right way.
Yeah,
Okay.
But
he's got skin in the game.
That's
unfortunately, so I think at this point, if you have questions that you feel aren't answered, you know, I'm not really ever a proponent of moving forward without the applicant here. But I just checked my email and I don't have anything from him, so I'm not sure what's going on. So, you know, it's up to you guys if you want to wait. You know, jumping ahead a little bit, Mr. DeGata, whatever he has that's come up, you know, Mondays are a difficult day for him, and he had said, you know, is there anything the commission can do? So the other option would basically be to hold this and then deal with Ed's application, Ed DeGata's application, and then a decision on this at a special meeting. And we can just set that up for a point in time when everybody's available. It doesn't have to be a Monday. It could be any day of the week to get it done. But I'm throwing that out there as an option.
I'm pretty comfortable with this application.
So am I. Just because of the man's reputation.
So
Well, we use him as a consultant and everything with Conservation Commission, and he's been around for a long time.
Yeah, he was at our hearing.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly strikes me as somebody who knows his stuff.
So in the wetlands application, just as a formality with the, I think it's on page 204 on the top right, it says, I understand that you need to provide 6 hard copies of the land use office upon submittal of this application. He had false. Should he have put true on that?
So that probably is because when I think he called or emailed and basically town hall's closed. So I believe we told him that you're submitting your materials online,
Okay.
not paper. And so that's probably why he wrote false, because at that point when he was contemplating this, we were not set up at that point to be able to take paper from people.
Okay, that's fine. That's the only thing I saw, like, looking through this.
And there are other documents that he has. So he did submit the activity form. And
This is 20-8.
Yes,
So you're saying that I understand the need to provide 6 hard copies? He's got false?
that's what it says.
This mine that I printed out today says true.
Yeah, well, there's two different apps there, and one of them said false and one of them said true.
one is the timber and one is the wetland. 20-8 is wetland, 20-2 is timber.
I don't believe I got the pages mixed up. Yeah, I did.
Other than that, I feel that, you know, it's a good plan and it's his own property. And if he was one to write the BMPs and he's a forester and it's his own property and he
Right.
to improve the health of his forest, I would move to approve inland wetlands application 20-8 with you know, as long as he's following the state BMPs.
I'd second that.
Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous then. I didn't ask for abstentions, but there's nobody here to abstain. So, moving right along. Now, do we have to go through the timber harvest one as well, or shall we just vote on that?
I think that, you know, the record is reflective of the fact that you evaluated the application for both its wetlands impacts and for the timber harvest stuff. So if you have questions or you feel like you need more information, we can talk about it, but the motion should be separate.
So, is there any discussion on 20-2, the timber harvest?
In the I'll make a motion to approve the timber harvest application TH 20-2 in the same spirit as the previous inland wetlands application, as far as they're following the state BMPs.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It's unanimous. And so the next one we are going to table until we can get together with Mr. DeGata. Is that correct?
Did this application just come in today?
I think it was received the same time the previous two were.
Sorry.
Is this just buffer zone work?
You're talking about Willington.
Ed's.
20-9.
I lost everything. This is Mr. DeGata.
Yes.
So I haven't looked at the plan yet. We've been corresponding back and forth because when the house was built, he was granted permission by the commission to fill a portion of the wetland in his sort of rear / side yard. And so we're trying to make sure the plan that we have, he says, is not the final plan. So I want to make sure that before we go showing you where the proposed barn is going to go, that I have the most accurate plan to show the area that was already approved to be filled. So he sent an email over today that he dropped off a plan to our office in the Dropbox last night. So I'll have to get in there and take a look at that before we go any further. But depending on where that goes, it's likely or maybe partially an actual wetland proper. I just don't know what the filling looked like. That's what we're trying to wait to discern. So because he couldn't be here, we'll push it to the next meeting. I guess the question for you guys is, are you all available for the next meeting in September? Or do we want to, like I said, do a special?
I'll be available.
Let me look at my calendar.
September
When-
28th.
You retired people.
When was this approved?
Which did you say? The September meeting or the October meeting?
It will be the September meeting, and it would be tentatively for the 28th, I believe.
Yeah, that's what we're set up as.
So if you're all available, then we can keep it as that.
I'm available.
Okay.
I'm available.
It was previously approved in the early 90s.
Yeah, that was before my time on the commission, believe it or not.
Well, I think the statute of limitation or whatever is that, I think has ended, hasn't it?
For what?
For an approval that long ago?
No. So I think he got, when the house was built, I believe, he got approval to do this work and to fill. And so now he's coming back in and saying he wants to put up the barn. That work has been done. The house is up. What he says we aren't, what our plan doesn't show is an accurate representation of where the wetland was actually filled and no longer exists. So I was trying to get a copy of his plan, because if it's filled, it's no longer a wetland. So I'm trying to figure out exactly where that line is now. But I
Yeah.
did find the approval from the 90s that he or the builder, whoever, was granted approval to fill.
And
Yeah,
when you look at that place where the wetland used to be, see whether there's still water oozing out of the tail of the fill.
Yeah, I would disagree with that. I would say it's still a wetland, even though it was filled. If you went down, if you removed that fill, it would be a wetland. Can you bring up that attachment
Which attachment?
that's on the
His plan.
application?
Dave, do you remember some contention about this with Susan?
About
About
filling in a wetland
About the activity that was taking place there?
with Ed's place, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a vague recollection of that.
So do I.
So maybe we should look in the records.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine the only person that's in the office there now who would know approximately when to look
Peggy.
would be Peg.
Yeah, well, it's not letting me pull up the plan, but for whatever reason, I'm not able to get in. But the plan that I think I remember him attaching is not, it doesn't show everything the way that it should be laid out. I went out and, is the plan you're looking at got a bunch of different colors on it?
It looks like a kind of a hand.
Yeah, it was a sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So the plan that we pulled was an actual approved plan that showed like a triangle section that was approved by the commission to be filled. And then it showed the wetland flags and the upland area. So that's what we're working off of. So we can between now and then pull any of the information related to any previous applications or any, if it was before the commission previously, for the next meeting and kind of give you a better idea of what was dealt with prior.
Well, I think for us to make a decision on this is to get something more accurate, something more updated on the actual limits of disturbance, the actual wetland line that's that's there now. And then we can go from there on what his proposed activity is. I mean, going from a hand pencil sketch like this, I mean, I don't think that's accurate to what's current and what's present.
You mean might even consider having a wetlands guy come in and look at it?
I mean, all I'm seeing is this small little box here, this attachment from
Yeah,
20,
that's all I saw too.
30 years ago. I think things do change. I mean, does he have anything more updated, Mike?
Yeah, yeah, the plan, well, I don't know how updated it is, but the plan that we were able to find was a plan approved by this commission.
Hmm.
So the plan that he submitted originally was the plan that we looked at and said, this is not going to fly. And that's when we started looking for something additional, which is where we are now. But because he couldn't make this meeting, we didn't send anything out because it wasn't up for discussion. So we're going to try to figure out from him, you know, and get that plan to you that shows what was approved by the commission. But the first plan he submitted was more or less just a survey of the house, which didn't get into any topos. It didn't get into wetland. It didn't show any of those other things.
Well,
That's what
really
our
good.
goal is to have for you.
So is he proposing to erect this metal structure, this barn, that he's going to need to fill in wetlands for that?
I'm going to let him explain that to you at the next meeting.
That sounds great.
Mhm.
Motion to table inland wetlands application IW 20-9 to the next meeting. Certainly going to need some more information from the applicant. Have him present to explain his proposal and what he wants to do with the land, and get us any new updated information and site plans for this application.
Right, and you want to include any archival information in that?
Certainly, yeah. Anything we can dig up to help us make our decision would be the best for us, I think.
All this before the next meeting.
It's a month.
If you guys could send that to
Yes.
us before the
No,
next
no,
meeting,
you
we
should.
can review it.
Okay. Now, I don't think we really need a motion for that.
No, okay.
I think it's just a declaration of that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, just let Mr. Ed know that that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, well, staff is going to tell him. Right, Mike?
Yeah, we'll let him know that he needs a more comprehensive site plan, and we will do our best to pull out anything that we have in our files showing previous applications.
Okay. Shall we move along then to F, which is a 0, correct? Applications to be received?
I don't have anything else that has come in since we've done the agenda, so I would say there aren't any.
And then old business, I don't think we have any.
The only
Oh,
thing
yeah.
that I'll mention to you quickly, I guess it kind of falls under old business, or just a quick little staff update. The regs, the timber harvest regs are at the commissioner's office to basically be signed. We sent everything over to them, but I guess we need to literally send in something to them that says, please review for signature. So they've got that, and we should have that from them. And then obviously put out the word that we need members. We're in a kind of precarious spot that if we don't have one of you, we don't have a quorum. So we're trying to either get members on the commission, or we're gonna have to start thinking about other options for how we can conduct this business if we can't get some more people.
Right.
So
Well, as I understand it, the only other way you would get quorum would be for Erica to do her ex officio thing.
So we've gone around and around on this because we had some issues with loves for P and Z. The way that I read Robert's rules, you can't use an ex officio member to generate a quorum because they're an ex officio member, and you need a quorum of the board to be able to make that decision. And so because she wouldn't vote like one of you three, you can't use her to generate the quorum.
Right, she can't vote.
Right. So if she can't vote, we would have her to, if we used her for the quorum, we would only have 2 to make a vote. You wouldn't be able to make any decisions anyways. So really the only other option, and actually some towns have done this, Mansfield is the closest, is to combine P and Z with Wetlands.
I really don't want to do that.
So call all your friends, Dave.
Hey, how do you think Mark got on the commission? He hates me for it.
Yeah. So I've told Erica we have to find some new folks so that we can make sure that we have a deep bench.
Yeah, we've told her that more than once.
So I guess I jumped ahead over correspondence and the staff report, but yeah, no new business.
Yep. And approval of the last set of minutes. I read them, and in the first page or two, there are a couple of typos, which are fairly obvious when you go through it. There's a space missing and things like that. Let me see if I can find the email that it's in. Okay, let me see. I've got the how come I can't find them now?
It was the 4th paragraph down. Commission discussed minor changes like wording, formatting. There should be a space between Michael's name and noted.
Yeah, that's one of them. And the other one was similar to that.
Well, yeah, right on the first page there. Mike Mao discussed that the state's comments for the new forestry regulations from Mr. Zito regarding the removal of some, it's a lot of spaces there, definitions and sections. Next sentence, the commission agreed on all but one of the comments. It's period, comma, period. And then the same for that. We will then go back and edit the document and then send the commission for a final read through, period, space, period. Right?
Right. So the first one was on the 4th paragraph down where Mike's name wasn't separated from the word noted. The commission discussed minor changes. That's what you said?
Even on the first page there.
Yes.
Typos.
Just below Tess's paragraph, and the next one is where there's a space missing from Mike's name and noted. And this one, that's fairly important in a way because it's part of the public hearing.
Yeah.
Did you catch that, Mike?
We got it recorded. I'm also hoping Ashley caught it.
Okay. So other than those minor formatting problems, I would say that these minutes do the job.
I would agree.
So I'm willing to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes from the April 27th, 2002 Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission meeting with editorial changes to paragraph 4 and 5 of the first page.
Second
And
that,
others as necessary, in
certainly.
case we missed them. Okay, we're looking for a second on this.
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion?
You only got 3 to choose from, Dave.
What, discussions?
No, looking for a second.
So, okay, so all in favor of accepting these minutes? Say aye.
Aye.
Only one, huh?
I believe I should abstain.
Because you weren't there?
Because I wasn't there.
I guess we can live with that. It's not necessary, you understand. Robert's rule says that you can vote.
Okay.
An abstention goes with the majority anyway, so if they both approve, you're good.
Okay, so yes, so there was an abstention. Okay, it carries. Two to one. And that takes care of the minutes. Now I have to go back to the agenda. Is there anything else on the agenda we need to discuss? Since I don't have a
Nothing
copy.
nothing for discussion.
There's nobody here to make comments.
We've got
No.
one.
Oh, do we?
One or two.
Mike is off.
We have
Where-
Ralph and Dave, unless Dave's here twice.
I'm off?
Good.
What am I off?
You're Yukon Dave. There's another Dave and Mr. Tulis.
And I'm not going to say anything.
Hi, Ralph.
Hi, Mark.
Hello, Ralph.
Hi, Dave. And Patrick and Mike and Ashley.
Hey, Ralph. We're here to hear any comments you may have at this time.
I have none at this time.
Right.
How long have you been listening in on us, Ralph? When were you there when we were all talking about you?
No, I missed that part.
Oh, good. Okay. I go back to my agenda. So if we have nothing further to discuss, I suppose we should call this meeting adjourned. Any dissent on that?
Motion to adjourn the August 24th, 2020 Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission meeting.
Is Mark sleeping?
No, you can second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, this meeting is adjourned. You can push that leave